Thank you very much for Ms. Vikra Domani's very comprehensive presentation and explanation. Thank you for audience still staying with us to the 2022 World IPF Guide to IP Creation, Exchange, and Ownership in University Industry Collaboration panel. After our esteemed colleagues, Professor Goda, Ms. Domani, they have done very interesting and very meaningful sharing. Now we come to our last speaker, our Honorable Dr. Lorenz Kaiser, who is going to talk about the successful university industry transfer, the Mei-Hsin free case. Dr. Lorenz Kaiser is a senior legal counsel at UK Aviation, and since 2019, he took this position till days. He has been division director for R&D contract and IPR at Kaiser, here heading to the department R&D contract, patent and licensing, public sponsoring, and corporate legal governance, rendering centralized service for all Fraunhofer institutions, where he retired from 2018. But during all his professional activities, he engaged in the development of models for research cooperation and contractual solutions, which include also the transfer of knowledge through spin-off from research facilities and universities. Dr. Kaiser is performing advanced training courses and engaged in German and international expert group for R&D cooperation and IP management. He is also the Director General for QIMIP, the Quality Initiative for the Management of IP, organized by German Institute of Invention. Before Professor Kaiser starts his very interesting presentation, I will give some brief introduction. The BIDO Act was launched in 1980, so it allows the policymaker in developed countries begin to focus on the law and regulations governing the exploration of IP created through the government-funded research. So the first and most commonly quoted example is USA that allows American universities to claim ownership of IP developed from federal funded research and retain the royalties, and allow university to grant license, including exclusive licenses. Allow university to claim ownership of the IP developed from federal funded research and retain the royalty. Since then, there are many products developed from university-based research, as you may see, I list a little bit. From Kansas University, the nanomaterial to neutralize contaminants and chemical warfare agents that have been licensed to Nanoscale Material Institute. At University of North Carolina, they invented a software program incorporating a 3D microscope for students to experience microscopy in the classroom from home, and it's licensed to Science Learning Resource Incorporation. And Boston University, that developed an optical device, numerical aperture increasing lens, to produce high-resolution image of warfare security. And the Agitech take a license to sonar technology to locate buried underwater mine. It was developed by Florida Atlantic University. And Purdue University developed a miniature mass spectrometer, portable to identifying chemical warfare agent, explosive, and toxic industry chemicals. It's licensing to the Griffin Analytic Technology. University of Texas developed wire enzyme technology, which allow diabetes patients to measure blood glucose with a much smaller sample than required by existing method. An elegant cell restasis is an immune suppressant and decrease TL duct inflammation, and indicated for dry eyes is based on the technology license from University of Georgia. You can also observe in these slides, there are so many companies. They sprung from Stanford. Just name a few: the Netflix, Nike, Rambus, Orbis. There are many. Yahoo. Okay, you can see Yahoo is here. Gap, Google, eBay. And you also can see in this slide the inventions license from Stanford, for example, the digital sound synthesis, the disease management system for HIV and AIDS, BSL, email securities, functional antibody to treat diseases, genome sequencing, Google, personalized medicine, recombinant drug productions. There are just a few, but however, there are many obstacles, the barrier have been observed when collaboration with industry. For example, the short-term orientation of industry research, lengthy contract process within university, inadequate recognition and incentive, long-term orientation of academic research, lack of government funding to incentive university, conflict over IP rights, high-cost academic research, slow speed of academic research, industry restriction on publication and data sharing, divergent area of research in industry and academia, difficulty finding companies with appropriate profile, or mutual lack of understanding about expectations, limit business development and technology, and absence of established university procedure, or perceived conflict of interest from university and basic science orientation of academic research, ethical issues related to receiving industry fund, etc. Therefore, the principle for university and industry. Therefore, we suggest that inventor, if the university does not proceed to patent invention, the inventor should request the right to patent transfer to themselves, and university may retain a non-exclusive right to use the IP for education and research purpose, and perhaps a right to percentage of revenue. And if the invention was made without significant use of the university resource, then the inventor could claim ownership. Regarding the elements of IP policy management, create a department or office such as a technical transfer office or technology licensing office are necessary to be in charge of managing the university IP assets and responsible for protection and commercialization development of invention and creation. Regarding the responsibility of a technical transfer office or technical licensing office, we would prefer they could processing and safeguarding relevant IP rights and IP agreements, determine the patentability, and manage invention disclosure, undertaking patent search and completion application for patents, evaluating the commercial potential of an invention, obtaining appropriate patent protection, and locating suitable commercial development partners, negotiating and managing licensing for the inventor and university. And regarding the invention disclosure, the disclosure is the first sign that an invention has been made, and it's given a formal description of an invention that is confidentially made by inventor to his or her employee. It provides information about the inventors, what was invented, and the circumstances lead to the invention, and facts concerning sequence activity. It provides the basis for determining patentability and technology information drifting a patent application. And the principles for university industry regarding the identity commercially valuable invention. We have to protect them, the access, the patentability, and prepare and make the patent application. Definitely have to reward employee who create such invention and dedicated to commercialization. So locate commercial partners and negotiate licensing agreement are essential. For the income distribution, the gross income, licensing fee, royalties, milestone payment, etc., net income, gross income less university expense for filing patent, negotiates licensing agreement, etc. For distribution of the revenue, generally the inventor share and that of the university as total net revenue. Many universities gain an average 35% income to the inventor. If the invention finally mature enough start up or spin off, the commercialization of research can also take place, and other than through licensing to another company, although the role of a spin-off company that will commercialize the invention. So a spin-off company is one of the established by members of university staff to exploit IP that belong to the university. For example, university will transfer the relevant IP free of royalty to the spin-off and will seek a majority shareholding in the company. An incubator have been used to assist the development of spin-off. So for incubators, that university incubators are designed to help start-up company. They will provide flexible space and lease many times at very low rate. So the fee based on the business support services such as telephone answering, bookkeeping, secretarial, fax, copy machines, etc., libraries, meeting rooms, and good rate for health, life, the insurance plan, business and technical assistance, either on-site or through a community referral system, assistance in obtaining funding, network with other entrepreneurs. The primary goal of a university incubator is to produce successful businesses that are able to operate independently and financially viable. But however, there are questions to be considered. Is the mission of the university being compromised by commercial interests? Should research result funding by taxpayer money be privatized, appropriated? So balance the fundamental role of university as place of learning and academia uncompromised by commercial interest with the need to put to good use socially useful result for the greater good of the community. Whether research result derived from the public fund, taxpayer money, should be commercialized or made freely available for community benefits. Another question is, if commercialization of public funding research is appropriate, then we have to ensure clarity of ownership of research result. We have to allow each of university and PL to develop their own internal policy along the above lines within the broader national goals. And governments could inject humanitarian public service licensing policy into the national goals. Now, the trends that major private research lab, they downsizing while smaller startups are increasing their research activities, and companies are funding more basic and applied research in university. Less corporate funding for the sake of public good, but tied directly to corporate goal. So we need more funding, however, less independency preserved, and the rise is the real-world research. So now I pass the floor to our dear colleague, Dr. Lorenz Kaiser.
Thank you. Is the mic also working? Yes, thank you. Before I start my presentation, which I will concentrate by time reasons now very much, I want to give you my standpoint to all these things we heard already and to the transfer questions. You must know that I'm throughout a practitioner, and during my 35 years in Fraunhofer and still now, I have the experience that we have a lot of strategies and rules and contracts and everything of that, but we not have, and this is a worldwide phenomenon, are success cases. And therefore, I won't tell you what the percentage is of successful cases of funded projects in Germany. Maybe you are lucky in your country and it's different, but I don't suppose this. And my duty was to make the legal framework on the one side, but also I understood my duty to help the engineers out from the jungle of legal rules and contracts and strategies and everything, so they can do their own work and come to a technical success. That is what engineers are doing, and the people you are talking about. They are not interested in reading contracts. Therefore, the lawyers are there. That is clear, and I don't hesitate doing anything. But you must know that was so. I understood my role with this, and therefore, I will tell you, or I would like to tell you, a success story today, which is a real success story of MP3, how it developed, how long it took, about these 30 years, and what were the core elements. More time is not anymore, but this is, I think, interesting for you to hear. So, we go in 3 steps. 3 short remarks from the transfer functions, the MP3 case as such, and a look to the future, because Fraunhofer as research organization is very successful and very promising for the future. Please, next slide. Most of the research, or all of the research activities are either in the one or in the other sector. Okay. Sector, and many people think that it's decisive whether it comes out on the right side or on the left side. Please, next. It is not. It is not. These are only, no, not 2. Huh? It is only the kind of, let's say, cooperation which leads to success. And it is not one, but it's all of them, which must be ideally mixed. MP3 used all of these cooperation forms. They had alliance clusters. They used the foundation money. They after had it was licensing and spin-off. Very successful. But this is an interesting categorization, but no rule. You cannot have any, let's say, analysis from that. Next, please. And experience from research organizations, I would say also from universities, is that it also depends of the source. Where is the I would not say patent, but where is the IP coming from? And this is my estimation of it, but not an estimation over the thumb. It is an estimation on my experience of 35 years. 70% about derived from basic research. And happily, MP3 was also a result of basic research. If you have cooperative research on the rules that Heinz told you on this cooperation, there come out about 20% of successful IP of the company, and the funded research is the worst. Sorry to say this, but I often also, when I'm invited, tell the funding authorities, you are making good funding. Funding is necessary. Research doesn't work without funding, but you are often funding on the wrong stage. I'm coming to that soon. Now first, Fraunhofer, please. Fraunhofer has an ideal role between universities and application. The Fraunhofer professors are linked directly to the universities. They have a double role. They have a double function. They are university professors and heads of their institute, and so they can exchange the knowledge coming from the science idly. And in the transfer, bridging the gap, as it's written there, to the innovative products, they have it very easy because they have good contacts to industry, and they must maintain and they must bring 60% of the money for the institute by industrial means. And that is not so simple in this world. You may read this in detail if you are interested. Fraunhofer, this Fraunhofer model, so-called model, is originated after the Second World War by historical reasons. I have not the time now to tell you why. It's also an interesting story. but it has the most success of all research organization ever in Germany. We have now, not we, I'm not about, they have more than 25 researchers, employees, researchers, about 17, 80,000, and a turnover of 2.5 billion, and 6,000 to 7,000 active patent families. I think these figures, they speak for themselves. Next, please. And for the inventions IP, which will become successful standard, this picture is typical. The base, many engineers or also research managers think that the investment in the basic research of the beginning leads to a direct success. This is not true. The way from the first basic idea you have in the lab to success is a long way. And the funding authorities, in my opinion, or the companies investing, make the same mistake that they see, oh, it is not that successful as we estimate, or let's stop it, or let's make it short. And that's wrong. There you have to invest more, and then you have maybe a chance to a standard. Go on, please. Here are some examples from Fraunhofer, because the research activities are also a question of fashion. It's not always research on the same field. This is more or less the success story in Fraunhofer. The MP3 had its breakthrough in '92. Video standard they had, efficiency rate for solar cells, this was 209, very successful. Then came the light building of cars and the rubber from dandelion. We come back to that afterwards. And in fact, now it's energy and battery factory we are working on. And now to the case itself. What is MP3? It is a format. In the beginning, it was not more than the idea to compress audio data to have less, let's say, digital sum to transmit anywhere. But in the meantime, it has become for this institute almost a cultural phenomenon, because it has really influenced the whole audio and video market. The idea was in the beginning of these researchers, and I came to Fraunhofer '83. They came to Fraunhofer '84 from a research group in Erlangen. And they said, yes, the internet is not from cassettes or not from discs. The internet, the music must come from the internet. There is a source without limitation. We only must find a way to compress this information and this music, and then to have that used in practical application. You know, this MP3 needs on storage data about 10% of the usual, let's say, storage dimension. And on the first generation, they could already store between 200 and 200,000 minutes of music. That was at those times in the end of the 80s an unbelievable thing. They are crazy. I know we were at the authorities. They said, no. Our music is coming via cable and not this. This is something of the future you can dream of. But they did. They finished their dream, and that's a good thing of it. Go on, please. These are the inventors of MP3. This is first is 1987. The person with the headphone is the main inventor, Karl-Heinz Brandenburg. And 2015 and onwards, they had a lot of successes and awards and whatsoever. This is the team, and they are still young.